Yeah, that makes it easier. Yeah, so as I was saying, I come from a place that's pretty blue collar. You know, it can be a tough place, but it can be a lovely place at the same time. And you know, a bit of a background on me for, you know, most of you probably know me as Josh Hodgson, the rugby player, and you know that's probably 20% of my life. I'm also Josh Hodgson, the son, the brother, the dad, the uncle, and you know, the grandson, and a lot more. And, you know, growing up as a kid, I had a great childhood. You know, we didn't have a lot, but at the same time, we didn't want for anything either, which, you know, sounds a bit different. But you know, I'm a big believer in, as a kid, you know, your mum and dad can have all the money in the world, but all you need is a bit of love, and it goes a very long way. I've got 6 brothers, so it was a busy household. 1 full brother and 5 half brothers. We range in age, so I'm the second youngest. My youngest brother's Joe, he's 25. My oldest brother is Richard, and he's 44. So there's a big age gap. My dad was a busy man. Some call him the farmer because he spread the seed a bit. But no, we had a good childhood. You know, I really love the age gap between me and my brothers, and I talk about them quite a lot because my brothers are, you know, they're everything to me. The rock growing up as a kid, especially your older brothers. The rock growing up, and there's someone you look up to, even though the ones that aren't too much older than you kind of, you know, look at areas that they did wrong, or look at areas where, you know, things they can get away with, and you think, oh, I'll try that. So I really always looked up to my brothers, and me and my, you know, closest brother to my age, Nathan, he's 11 months older than me to the day. I was born on October the 31st, 1989, and he was November the 11th, 1988. So there's 11 months between us to the day. We was kind of inseparable when we was kids. 80% of the time was fighting each other. But you know, if someone come running in, we'd both turn on them. So it was like the best of mates and the best of enemies at the same time. We played in the same footy teams growing up. People used to call us the mini career twins because we was always running around together, up to no good, and usually up to mischief. And my mum would have to come find us at 5 or 6 o'clock on the night. She would not turned up home, and it was some of the best memories of my life from being a kid. And as I said, we didn't have a lot, so it was. It just goes to show you don't need a lot. You just need a bit of love, and we certainly had that in our house from all my brothers. I've got a bit of a mixed family. You know, I'd probably be here all night if we went into that. But we've got a bit of a mixed family, but me and all my brothers, we all tend to try and look after each other. We have our fights like all families do. You know, but we're always, when it comes down to it, we always love each other more than anything in the world, and we do anything for each other. Yeah, me on a personal level, I've had my own issues, which I won't go into great detail with. You know, and I wasn't going to share that, but I thought I would. I thought it'd be a bit cowardly of me not to. I've had my own problems where I've had to go speak to people and take a bit of time away sometimes, and I do need my own space, even to this day. You know, things creep up in life and things affect you in different ways, and you know, and from an outside in, anyone would think, you know, he's an NRL player, you know, he's on good money, more than the average Joe, and you know, he's got everything going for him. He's got 2 beautiful kids, he's got a wife, he lives in a nice house, and drives a nice car, and you know, what's he got to be bothered about? And you know, and the reason why I share that is because if there's people like me who, you know, who do have the problems from time to time and do struggle from time to time, and sometimes it does feel like the world's kind of on top of you. You know, what does a 10-year-old lad feel like who's, you know, got no mum or dad to look out for him, or you know, he's got no brothers there to wrap their arm around him and tell him it's all alright, mate. And you know, so you know, when I think about the work that these guys do at Menslink, I think it's unbelievable because, you know, just for the patch of just some, you know, man, on the scale of things, man's very low, and the things I go through, and for what some of and it's not very nice at all, so for what some of these young kids must go through, and at such a young age, you know, it must be horrible, because not only are you're a bit too young where you should be just running around outside with a stick and pretending it's a sword, or pretending it's a gun and playing with your brothers or playing with your friends and chucking rocks, and you know, and instead they're going through all sorts of things that young kids shouldn't be going through, and having worries and thoughts in their head that really shouldn't be there, and they're nowhere near old enough to know what's going on in their own minds yet, and let alone having all these other problems in their life. So I really tip my hat off to Marty and everybody at Menslink for everything you do. You do a fantastic job, and as I always say, if there's anything you ever need from me or anyone at the Canberra Raiders or anyone at my family, we'll be there for you in a heartbeat. And But yeah, just to touch on a bit about my brother. Bit of a difficult subject to talk about for me, so I apologise if I stop sometimes. But yeah, he was really special to me. We didn't probably, when we got to kind of 16, 17, we kind of started going different paths. He left school at 15. He just decided he wasn't going to go anymore. And, there was not a lot anyone could really do about that. He was pretty stubborn. And back then there was no fines for kids going to school and all stuff like that. And rugby was the one thing that kept me strong and kept me on the straight and narrow, kept me doing the good things in life and trying to stay out of the bad books. So that I just really knuckled down on that. When things got hard, I stuck to my training and stuck to my rugby. But he didn't really kind of have that direction in life. He didn't really have that. He didn't really have a father figure. We both share a different dad to all my other brothers, and he didn't really want to know as a father, which was obviously I took it a bit better than what my brother did, and he reached out, and it turned out he didn't. He obviously didn't want to be involved as what my brother felt like he needed, and sadly in 2015 he passed away, and I know it affected my brother immensely. He was diagnosed in 2015 with clinical depression. He'd been in and out of prison, and before prison he had an awful lot of problems, and I've no doubt he was going through that before prison too. And those types of things and those type of problems drove him to do some stupid things. It drove him to drink. It drove him to try and escape the world. And I'll always remember what my grandma told me. She was like a mum to him. He was round at her house every single day, even till the couple of weeks before he died. And she got a bit mad with him. We managed to sort him out a flat, an apartment, as you call it here. She got a bit mad with him because he lost it and ended up out on his feet again. So she took him back in, and she got a bit mad with him and said to him, what is wrong with you, Nathan? He'd never opened up to anybody, so no one ever really knew how bad things was. And she said, what is wrong with you? Why can't you hold down anything? And why can't you just go get a girlfriend or go get a little family or just hold down a job? Or why did you lose that apartment? Now you're out on your feet again. And I always remember what he said. He said, no, don't give me criticism until you've walked a day in my shoes and been inside my head for one day. Then you can start giving me criticism, and that'll always stick with me for the rest of my life. I've later found out, I never knew at the time, he twice previously tried to take his own life, and on December the 21st, 2018, he succeeded in doing that. He was in prison at the time. He was on remand for having a fight with somebody. He got let out when he was still on licence, which is remand, so if you do something wrong, you're going straight back in. He had another fight with somebody and got sent back in. He didn't want to go back in, obviously, as nobody ever would, but especially when you're in that kind of headspace. He knew he'd already been in there, he didn't want to go in there. And he said to me, Nana, I can't go back there. And she said, Nathan, you ain't got no choice, you can't just go on the run, you've got to go back, they're looking for you. And he said, no, I just can't handle it in there, I can't go back. And yeah, it's an hard one to take. My nana was out here not long ago, and we was talking together about it, and I think the hardest thing to take is that he did it to himself. I think it makes you feel like you've let him down, makes you feel like you weren't there for him, makes you feel like, what could I have done? There's a lot of, you go through different stages of grief, and there's so many questions that you want to ask that you'll never be able to ask, because you're never going to get the answer. It all got a bit much for my brother. He refused any help, and even when he was diagnosed as clinically depressed, he refused any help and refused to go see someone. He refused to go to kind of like a wellness centre, a rehab centre that my auntie tried to get him into for a few days. He refused anything. He was probably a bit old school in his ways. He was a bit of a man's man, and I'll sort it out myself, and I'll deal with it myself. And as I said, in 2018, he took his own life, and after he'd taken his own life, I didn't know he'd wrote some memoirs, but these was from a couple of years ago. He never left a note, or he never left anything, which obviously added to the questions. But he wrote some memoirs from when he first tried to do it in 2015, and one of the things that he wrote that affected him massively was from his childhood, and it affected him all the way throughout his life, and that really struck a chord with me. Definitely in terms of helping out with these blokes, because I've always tried to anyway, but in terms of trying to help these young kids, my brother he turned 30 years old 3 weeks to the day before he did it. So if he still had 50 years ahead of him if he wanted to. For somebody like that to who's got all the life ahead of him and be 30 years old and things still affected him 20 years down the line from when things are saying that happened, and people questioned if it did happen or if it didn't happen, but I'm sure if someone's still struggling with something 20 years down the line, it probably happened, and that's why I feel so strongly about the work these guys do with kids when they're young, because it definitely affects you growing up. We all have things that affect you in life, and some people have stronger feelings than others, and some people will get affected a lot more by a little thing than other people would. So I think it's really important that we realise that, and realise that young kids don't need a lot. They need a bit of love, and if there's anybody in your life that you feel like's a bit of a loner, I never really realised it at the time, but that's how my brother kind of made himself. He really isolated himself. He didn't like turning up at family events. He just used to walk around on his own. He'd just randomly turn up at your house. He used to live the other side of Hull, which is about 5 or 6 miles. He used to walk, just knock on your door, say, "How did you get here?" or what. He just used to isolate himself from the world, and the one thing that stood out for me was that really. And if you do ever see a young kid that maybe needs a bit of a role model, he might be a cousin, he might be a kid who lives next door to you. He might be isolating himself. He might seem a bit quiet. He might seem not himself. Just give him the option. You can't always make someone take the option, which was the case with my brother. We all tried to help him. He had anyone in the family who'd done anything for him, but at the end of the day, he needed to do it for himself. But one thing I will say is, anyone in your life that you even question, just 1%, even 1% question that they might be struggling a little bit, I'd just say, just do it in whatever way you think's necessary, just to ask them if they need any help, or go out your way just to help them a little bit. If there's nothing wrong, you've not lost anything, and if there is something wrong, you never know. That might mean the absolute world to them, and that could change their life in a total different direction for years to come. You'll never know. So that'll be the last from me. But I really want to thank again everyone from Menslink for asking me to come down, and thank you to everybody for listening to me. It was a hard one to get through, and I probably thought of a lot more what I wanted to say before the thing, but. As I said, it's an hard thing to talk about, so I'll cut it short there, and I'll open up to any questions if anyone's got any questions, but if not, I'm happy to finish. It's up to you.
Got any questions?
Yeah, Marty. This is a rugby league question, mate, so to get off topic a little bit. So
yeah, go for it, mate.
Please.
Mate, you play here, you play for your country against Australia, so now you're playing against mates, you played in the NRL. How do you find that, playing mate against mate against country? We have in Australia, state of origin, you don't experience it, bad luck. But how do you feel playing that and get a little bit of experience of it?
It sounds a bit of a cliche, mate, but I don't really think too much into it. I just hope that we win, because I'm the biggest loser in the world. I sulk for days, so usually I don't want to talk to them for about a week if we get beat. So as long as we win, I can rub it in.
Which is the harder comp, Aussie or England?
Oh, it differs, mate. I think the big games over there is just as hard, but I think the competitiveness of every week, the bottom teams are a lot higher standard than what they are over there, but the top teams that do well out here, that match you. Probably. Yeah, I think rugby league is the one thing that kept me on the straight and narrow. I was a bit the same with school, so on a Monday I didn't have PE, so there was no rugby, so I just used to skip it. Mum and Dad did know, but yeah, I used to just skip it. But yeah, I think that was the one thing that kept me on that path. We was really similar growing up as kids, me and my brother, so I think rugby was the one thing that kept me on that path, and I've got some really close mates that stayed similar to me, that stayed on the right track with rugby league as well, but they didn't kind of you know, make it to that level. So it kind of made it a bit easier. I wasn't alone and doing it by myself. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for my brother was he lost that. I'm a big believer in men need a male role model, and I think he lost that male role model. He didn't get along with our stepdad, and he reached out to his own dad and he didn't get that. And you know, he got caught, as people do nowadays, which is easy to do when teenagers are playing up. You just get to know, he's a little, I'll say sod, or he's just a little sod. You know, kids are brought up bad. You know, kids aren't born bad, sorry. It's experiences and things that they're going through that make them act in certain ways. So, you know, looking back, I was just a kid myself, so I probably was never going to notice. But looking back, probably someone should have, you know, asked him why he was behaving the way he was behaving as a teenager. You know, and that's another thing I'd say to anyone that's a parent. If you know, it is tempting sometimes as a parent to think, you little bugger. But if kids are consistently doing bad things, there's usually something else going on. Is usually the kind of trend that I've found in my life.
Last one.
When I was a kid, rugby league wasn't one of those places where you open up about what's happening in your head or in your heart. Has it changed now? When you've got some stuff going on, everybody's got stuff going on. The Raiders and the rugby league community, they changed?
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed, mate. You know, I think probably over the past few years, individually, I think the first time I ever really reached out and told everyone I was struggling a bit was the hardest time, and then you found it a bit easier, and then, you know, if one of your mates talks to you, you feel like, you know, talking to them back because, you know, they've shared a little thing. It's kind of opened the gate. It's like the floodgates open, and you're like, oh, and this is all right to talk about. He spoke about that. So I think that's kind of the trend that's happening, and we see so many sports stars and everyone talking about it nowadays. I think it's really nice to hear because it does show, as I said, young kids that probably are struggling themselves. It's not just, you know, your average Joes that go through it. Everybody talks about it, and it can feel like that. It can feel like everyone else is all happy in their lives and they've got fantastic, perfect lives. Why is mine feeling like this? But everyone has hard times in their life. It might be for a week, it might be for a year, but it's just making sure you come through the other side with a smile on your face is the biggest thing.
Did you have a role model when you were growing up, and how important do you think a role model is?
Role model growing up has probably just been brothers. Honestly, it was, I used to just look up to them all, really. They used to help me do anything I ever needed. If it was tackling in the back garden, if it was going out and taking the tee and kicking, and you know, if it was letting me out to fish, if it was just doing anything, just mainly looking back, it was just spending time with me. I just used to love that. There was all my role models, and they still are to this day. My brother, it's a funny story actually. When I first started doing these kind of things and mingling at events and stuff, I was at Hull KR, and my brother had seen me mingling, and he pulled me aside and he said, "Me and you need to talk." So I said, "Why? What's wrong?" So he said, "Your conversations are atrocious." I said, "What do you mean?" So he said, "You just give people nothing. It just looks like you're arrogant. And I know you're not arrogant, you're just shy." He said, so he had, the next week he made me go in his back garden, sit there, and pretend he was someone else introducing themselves at me. He calls it Hodgson's media training if anyone's there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Hodgson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a, because Josh is the co-captain of the Raiders, we've got a very special job for him. He is modelling a signed jersey of the 2019 Premiership winning team. And we're very lucky to have Tim Shaw from xoxo, who is going to help auction off this jersey. He's already done a fantastic job so far, but I'll let Tim talk about that and the amazing result he's got so far this morning.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you, Josh. That was so important what we heard from you at 6:05 this morning. Anyone listening to xoxo at 6:05 this morning? Thank you, sir. You're the one. I appreciate that. And Marty and I always talk about the midweekers. It's really important because I get to better understand what's going on in Menslink's life. And I knew Josh was coming, and I thought, can I make it? Can I get there tonight? But it compelled me to do so when I heard about Josh's story about his brother. But importantly, I said, well, if there's going to be the premier winning rugby league team for 2019. Let's bleed green 2019. I'm not putting let's do it. And I said to Marty, well, Josh is going to be there. He's going to dedicate a special message to our lucky bidder for this club jersey. And I said, it's 2019. I'm not tight, but I'll open it up at $219, 2019. Straight away, Marco from Latham, $500 on the phone to Eddie Williams. But wait, there's more. Jamie Peterson from John McGrath Auto Group, straight on at $600. And then Joshy from Queanbeyan. Josh, are you here tonight? Josh is a builder from Queanbeyan. He does house renos, and if you live in Queanbeyan, by golly, you better get him $1,000 on the phone. All right, but it got even more exciting because Jamie said, no, bugger it, I really want it, $1,200. And then Josh said, no, I really want it. So we got a benchmark. We've got an opening bid of $1,500 from Joshy, the tradie from Queanbeyan. Can we just give him a massive round of applause? Now, there's so many great supporters here, Balden Ag, Westpac Bank. Look, knock it out of the park. This could be the most dedicated piece of rugby league memorabilia for 2019. And I want to remind you, it's 1906-19 today, right? 1911-19, International Men's Day. We got to do something about what Martin's doing and support the men and boys in our life and stop them taking their lives. Every dollar you bid right now is going to make a difference to the work of Menslink. I've got an opening bid of $1,500 from Joshy at Queanbeyan, and I'd love you to kick the tin. Ladies and gentlemen, the opening bid is $1,500. $1,500. Have I got $1,650? $1,650. $1,650. Westpac, Balden Ag, all of the great supporters here for Menslink. I've got a bid of $1,650. I don't want to knock your head off, son. You've got some rugby league.